fried olive oil.
It's canola oil. Okay.
We cook in sunflower seed oil.
Oh, it's vegetable oil?
A voice calling from within our core.
What are we here for? We realize that our power lies
And how we live our lives.
and how we choose to show up.
So we choose to show up as rooted crowns. And this is our living prayer. Birth from the earth.
On a path to reclaim our name.
Nature, ancestral medicine to heal our home. We sow this prayer in our bodies between many hands and upon our land.
In direct response to self-hate, forced scarcity, and climate change.
But it's simple for real. We plant full forests and concrete jungles.
Inspiring youth to lead us out this struggle.
Nourishing our bodies as living proof.
Sharing all we do to amplify this truth.
Yeah, we documenting it all.
Bringing it to you so you can feel this call in person, online.
Yeah, we standing tall, rooted crowns. Let's rock with it, y'all.
So we asked 5 spots, and one was peanut oil, one was olive oil. Cook everything in olive oil, they said, and 3 of them were canola oil.
So it's actually better than we thought. The peanut oil could be really good, but it could be really bad for people who have peanut allergies. But
Yeah, I mean, if you got a peanut allergy, and then also you don't know if it, like, what kind of quality the processing of the peanuts is. Because peanuts can be chemically processed, or they can be expeller pressed, cold pressed. But if they're not saying how, like, you know, most people are probably going to be getting an industrial processed peanut oil if they're getting peanut oil.
no, so we're making a compromise. We're eating a thing.
Yeah, you know, like,
With the
here's the
olive
thing.
oil.
Don't starve yourself.
Why would you starve yourself by not eating out?
But I'm saying, if you have no other options, you
Okay.
know, like, don't starve yourself, but make the best decision for yourself.
Don't buy industrial oils and cook that in your food. Like, don't be doing this all the time. Like, really rarely do this. And then your body will work properly and your body will push these toxins out when they're only in small amounts.
Facts.
You know, so eat quality foods, eat building foods. We'll go into this more in another video way down the line because this is happening too fast for me. This was random. This industrial oil video, I was not ready, but we did it. But
Yeah, so, you know, it's been a real rude awakening to this industrial oil, you know, kind of uncovering of the damage it's doing and how, because of capitalism, everybody's using it. I wanted to go to my favorite Ethiopian spot here in Baltimore. So before I went there, I called him up and I was just like, I'm curious what oils you use. And, you know, he was kind of avoiding the question, didn't really understand why I was asking. And I was like, all right. So I said I had an allergy, which...
sensitivity is a better word.
Yeah, in the future I'll just say sensitivity. You know, I told him I have a sensitivity to soy. And he was like, oh yeah, we just cooking vegetable oil. I was like, what kind of vegetable oil? You know, is it, sometimes vegetable oil is like a category of oils. You know, they'll even throw coconut oil under vegetable oil.
Really?
Yeah, they'll say olive oil is a vegetable oil. They'll say, you know, any plant oil, they'll call it a vegetable oil.
Okay, the windows.
And he was just like, yeah, you know, the one that we get from Restaurant Depot. You know, that's the oil. I was like, yeah, can you look and see what kind it is? And he's like, oh, yeah, it's soy. So they're cooking all their food in soy oil.
Oh, and it's super greasy.
Yeah, another spot I've been to here, a vegan restaurant in Baltimore that, you know, I used to go a while back. I used to go to, it's called Land of Kush. And, you know, I just went in there one time and I was just curious to see if there was really anything on the menu that fit my you know, my needs at the time.
You're like, that didn't have soy, right?
And I asked them, I was like, do you have any recipe? Because they use a lot of soy to like substitute meats. Yeah, tofu. And so I was like, do you have any dishes that are soy free? And the guy was like, oh yeah, we have this. And then he stopped in the middle of his sentence and he said, oh wait, all of our food is cooked in soy oil. And I was just like, all right, thank you. And I just left. And I've never been back since.
But then you think about it, it's like all of the restaurants.
Yeah,
Like,
I've been eating soy oil from all these other restaurants.
Right,
All of my
without
favorite
even
spots
realizing.
probably are using soy.
Oh, we're gonna call Karama.
We're gonna have to. I mean, I don't want to. Food is so good.
Okay.
But yeah, so this has been really tough for me. You know, we're starting to realize you can't really eat out, you know, consistently, because everybody's just cooking in these industrial oils because of capitalism.
Because it's cheaper.
It's cheap, you know, and none of these oils can you make in your kitchen. They're very difficult to process. You need special high-tech equipment to pulverize these seeds and extract the oils. Many of them, if they're not cold or expeller pressed, they're chemically extracted.
Yes, and I'm gonna tell you the process of what chemically extracted is here.
Yeah.
Let's look at my notes. All right, so what? So the extraction method of oil. It's so the difference between industrially processed oils and butter and even olive oil, maybe avocado oil. I'm not 100% sure, but the difference between these is that you can make butter in your kitchen. You can even make olive oil, you know, in your kitchen or your backyard. It just requires stones. But making industrial oil requires a factory. And getting these seeds out is a very intensive process that really jeopardizes the seeds in the first place. The extraction oil process. First step, they crush the oil. And they use a stainless steel press, and then they heat that to 230 degrees. So that's the first heating. Then the oil is squeezed out of at pressures from 10 to 20 tons per inch, and that generates even more heat. And this process is already damaging by light and oxygen, but let's just keep going with this.
Do you want me to take him, or you want to do everything?
Yeah, it's fine. He's my baby.
You scoop the egg yolk out.
I think he wants to go with you. He's like, whatever. I want to go with you. I don't want to see you on this video no more.
Take his diaper.
He just peed. He's not wet. He just peed. He just wants to be walked around and stuff. All right, in order to extract the last fraction of oil from the crushed seeds, processors treat the pulp with a solvent, usually hexane, which is food-grade gasoline. The solvent is then boiled off, although up to 100 parts per million remains in the oil. Such solvents themselves are toxic, and then the oils also retain the toxic pesticides that adhere to the seeds and grains before processing even begins. And then the oil that comes out of this industrial press is typically dark, sticky, and smelly gunk. So the process of cleaning it up for human consumption involves more heat and more chemicals. Steam removes the solvent, steam heating, and then additional refining consists of another heating, plus the addition of an alkaline substance such as sodium hydroxide or sodium carbonate. And then these chemicals form suds that must be washed away, and then followed by a drying that involves, you guessed it, more damaging heat. And then the gums precipitate out, and a centrifuge removes the dregs. Filtering the oil through Fuller's earth, activated carbon or activated clay removes the dark color. And then the final step is deodorization, which is accomplished by passing steam over the hot oil in a vacuum at between 440 to 485 degrees. This distills the volatile taste and odor components from the oil. And then citric acid is added to the oil, which further inactivates trace minerals left behind. And then sometimes they also add powerful antioxidants like BHT and BHA, which are both suspected of causing cancer and estrogen disruption. And these are often added to replace the vitamin E and other natural preservatives that have been destroyed by the excessive heat. So yeah, that's at least 6 heatings. Heatings when pressed, heating to remove the solvent, heating during refining, heating during the drying process, heating during regumming, and heating to very high temperatures during deodorization. And heating creates free radicals aldehydes, and other breakdown chemicals or products. And all these high temperatures neutralize and destroy any beneficial antioxidants, such as fat-soluble vitamin E, if it's present, which protect the body from the ravages of free radicals. And then free radicals in animal tissues like ours, free radicals damage cells and contribute to the progression of cancer, cardiovascular disease, and other age-related diseases. So this process in general, particularly the heating process, is so bad, because when you get these oils, they're very, very rancid already. Even if they smell clean, even if they don't smell rancid, they don't smell rancid because they have been like deodorized, but they were rancid from the very process of making them. So again, it's really important just to stick with cold pressed oils if you're going to use any of them. And most of them I wouldn't use in general because of the omega-6, omega-3 imbalance. And it's just easier and cheaper, really, and healthier, much healthier, to use various animal fats, coconut oil, palm oil, and maybe avocado oil. There's a couple of different perspectives on that from Natasha to Sally Fowler and Morel. So I'm still doing my research on that.
Like, it's crazy.
It's crazy. Especially knowing that they're sensitive, that the oils themselves are sensitive to heat, and then all the chemicals that they put in, just like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
Yeah. And so, every oil is going to have its combination of saturated fat, monounsaturated, and polyunsaturated. And that, or monosaturated, right?
Monounsaturated.
It's monounsaturated?
And polyunsaturated.
Okay,
yeah,
so...
because basically saturated fat means it's one carbon, and two arms are connected to other carbons, and two arms are connected to two hydrogens. So when every carbon arm is connected to one carbon or one hydrogen, it's fully occupied or fully saturated. When when a carbon has two arms connected to one thing, so like another carbon, then it creates a little bend, and it's called monounsaturated because it has one carbon connection that is not saturated with each arm and leg, because one of them is unsaturated.
And if you notice at room temperature, in cooler climates, those oils will still be liquid at room temperature, whereas saturated fats will be solid.
Right.
And then you heat the saturated fat up, and like this during the summer it'll be liquid, but as soon as that weather gets cooler, boom, it's solid at room temperature. Whereas the monounsaturated will stay liquid at room temperature, and then if you put them in the fridge
for a few days, they'll start
solidifying.
And the reason that happens is because the saturated, the chemical compounds, or however it works, the saturated ones are straight lines, so they pile on top of each other, and that creates a solid look, a solid experience. Whereas the monounsaturated has a slight bend, so it's just harder for them to pile, but they can get more solid. But a polyunsaturated has multiple double bends, and that I'm just trying to wait for him to pee.
Okay.
And because he's dry right now, so if I can get him to wake up a little bit.
Trying to save those diapers.
Yeah. That one, poly has like a super hard bend because there's multiple bends, so it has more. It's much harder for it to get flat, and when it tries to get flat, usually it breaks off. So like changing temperature or making it warmer.
And the polyunsaturated usually won't be solid ever.
No, it can't. It's never solid.
Yeah.
It doesn't go solid. It's always liquid. Oh look, my father.
Then you have trans fats. Now trans fats are polyunsaturated oils that have been hydrogenated, or I don't know. Is that the only way to turn it into a trans fat? I know that
I don't know that much about trans fats. I just know that it chemically changes it to.
Yeah, they chemically change
a saturated fat.
Exactly. The polyunsaturated. The polyunsaturated then gets hydrogenated and becomes solid, and therefore is promoted as an alternative to saturated fats, as a way to kind of get people onto margarines and these solid substitutes for butter and for saturated fat.
He is not trying to pee at all.
Well, that's alright. But so where were we? So these trans fats, those are the dangerous oils. Saturated fats are great, you know. It's only propaganda that's telling you, you know, these big companies want to make money, so they demonize the animal fats. They demonize the fats that are easy for you to make yourself.
Yeah, right, you can make them in the kitchen. And it's also so complicated because like they also want you to stop eating, you know, the saturated fats from animals, but animals actually have them saturated, monounsaturated, and polyunsaturated.
Yeah, like all these oils are, the only oil that I've seen that's really a pure one kind of fat is coconut oil. And coconut oil is the purest saturated fat on the planet, or that we know of. And coconut oil doesn't really have much mono or polyunsaturated fats, but it also, you know, it doesn't have things that certain animal fats have, certain vitamins. So it's important to mix it up. You know, coconut oil is great.
Yeah, there's benefits to coconut oil. Wait, are you waking up now? Because I put you down? You're gonna go back to sleep.
Coconut oil is great. Palm oil is amazing. Palm oil and coconut oil at one time had a really bad rep. If you get those oils, you want to make sure they're sustainably sourced.
With palm oil is the sourcing.
Yeah, you want to get them from smaller operations. A lot of deforestation is happening, and climate destruction to plant palm oil, you know, plantations. So you gotta keep that in mind when you're sourcing those oils. But those are great oils for you. You know, they're not gonna give you heart disease or anything. Like they're actually gonna help you fight heart disease.
Heart disease is from sugar, according to Natasha.
Or foods that are converted to sugar in the body.
Glucose.
You look cute.
All
right, what's the next call we gonna make? Should we hit up Ida B's?
Yeah, let's hit up Ida B's. They really act like, wait, let me put my seat.
Well, Ida B's, like, I gotta give it to them. Like, they source their animals well.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, you can get some quality stuff.
Yeah, like Ida B's, I think they're getting a lot of local produce, a lot of local animal products.
Yeah, like, and
really,
so is Woodbury, you know. I feel like it's just about not eating it all the time.
We're not doing this. We're not doing this to single out any of these spots. We're doing this to just show how capitalism has infiltrated, you know, everyone. I mean, infiltrated even the places that are seen as progressive, even the places that are seen as health food. Yeah. Their whole foundation of what they're cooking everything in is poison. Right. You know, and
I want them to start to realize this too. Like, you calling yourself a health food store, but you don't, because most of them don't even know that it's not healthy.
Right. And when I say poison, I'm not saying that it's gonna kill you on the spot. I'm saying that these are the types of things that over time degrade your health. I mean, that's the thing though, is it's global. Like, it's global. Everywhere you go, it's that industrial foods have reached. Yeah. Vegetable oil is gonna be there.
Slowly, places are like companies are starting to understand this, and they'll be like, you know, these chips are cooked in avocado oil, because they know, like, they're starting to slowly understand the value of good fats.
Or you see popcorn cooked in olive oil or coconut oil
or ghee.
So I don't even knock these places because they don't realize that this is something harmful. Right. You know, barely anybody realizes.
Like, I'm thinking about making a pamphlet, like a little piece of, like a little visual document that explains, you know, why these are bad, and then just like handing it, like when we're in one place for a long time. We're about to leave Baltimore, so sorry Baltimoreans, but wherever I am, I'm gonna start like handing it out to any of the restaurants that we create a personal relationship with.
Obviously, you can find ways to eat foods that are less oily, you know, maybe go for like soups or things, but then you have to worry about MSG.
Right. That's another thing. In the last video.
Yo, I've been going to places, all these different soup spots that I'm like, yeah, all that food tastes good. That like broth is so rich.
And it was weird tasting.
And then I'll go there and it's be like, do y'all cook with MSG in your
like,
soups? And the guy literally looked at me and he was like, yeah. I just walked out. I was just like, yo, you smiling? You smiling with that poison?
Like, you got me.
He was like, yeah, you got me. Yeah, it's just like,
that's funny.
That was disturbing. That's the thing, like, MSG is one that people know about. Yeah. You know, that MSG's been around, you know, and people know that it's like causing cancer and shit. But there's a whole lot of processed foods that, you know, have MSG in it, but it'll be under the guise of another name. So every time you see natural flavor, oh my gosh, everything.
Natural
every time
flavor.
You see what's another one? Yeast extract.
Yeast, spices, we thinking maybe.
Spices, right? It's just the general, like it'll have all the spices,
they don't have
and then it'll spices.
And I was just like, what is that? They just don't want to give us their secret sauce? Yes, because their secret sauce is MSG. All right,
what else?
Really long.
There's another one.
There's a lot of editing.
True. Is that 21 minutes?
Yes.
Oh my god. All right. Bye.